UPST, and... Alright, let's dive into Upstart Holdings, ticker UPST. So, Upstart is set to report its next quarterly earnings on August 3, 2026. Now, looking back at their most recent report from May 4, 2026, they posted an earnings per share of -7 cents, which missed analyst expectations of 39 cents by a pretty significant margin, a negative earnings surprise of 117.6%. However, here's where it gets interesting. Despite that one miss, Upstart has actually beaten analyst EPS estimates in 6 out of their last 8 earnings reports. On average, they've delivered a positive earnings surprise of 107.6%, showing a pretty consistent track record of outperformance. Looking ahead, the future EPS growth projections are looking strong. We're talking about a 64.42% growth for the current quarter, 24.76% over the next 12 months, and a solid 37.98% projected growth over the next 5 years. On the options trading front, Upstart has seen a lot of activity recently, with over 63,745 option contracts traded. That's equivalent to about 6.4 million shares of the underlying stock. This level of trading suggests a lot of interest and positioning in the stock, though the data itself is considered neutral for valuation purposes. XYZ, and... Alright, let's dive into the latest moves from XYZ Corporation and its ecosystem. First up, a massive potential shakeup in the payments world. Reports are circulating that Stripe has made a $53 billion offer to acquire PayPal. If this goes through, it would create an absolute titan in the global payments network. On the partnership front, Midas Displays is teaming up with Micron Electronics worldwide for global distribution, making their display tech more accessible. VEEV Incorporated is integrating with Fluid Pay to support next-gen payments like crypto and digital wallets, allowing merchants to accept more without changing their systems. XDC Tech is also making waves, partnering with Stripe's Bridge to enable on-chain stablecoin payments on the XDC network, paving the way for AI agents to make direct payments. Honolulu Cookie Company is expanding its use of Square's payment and sales management system across 14 locations, and JA is partnering with NetBank to offer small business lending infrastructure to banks and lenders, a big step for JA. In terms of platform development, Tradable is integrating with the Stellar network to issue up to $1 billion in tokenized private credit assets on-chain, reflecting growing institutional interest in tokenized real-world assets. And Aave has launched V4 on Avalanche, laying the groundwork for tokenized credit markets, another sign of growth in the real-world asset tokenization space. Finally, on the talent and organization side, XYZ Corporation itself is standardizing its training across global operations by partnering with TrainSmart for a trainer development program. XYZ Reality is actively recruiting talent acquisition specialists to grow its construction AR solutions team. And Block Incorporated is hiring experienced partnership and business development professionals to expand Square's payment and product offerings. Hood and Robinhood, or Hood, has been busy behind the scenes. They've filed with the SEC for an exemption related to employee investment partnerships, aiming to boost hiring and retention by expanding investment opportunities for their staff. Meanwhile, the Robinhood chain is getting a major upgrade. Hood Domains launched .hood Domains, making wallet addresses easier to read and remember, and acting as a hub for trader profiles and payments. This is a big step for on-chain identity. And it's not just Hood Domains. MetaMask has officially integrated with Robinhood Chain, allowing users to swap tokens and manage assets directly within MetaMask. Plus, KuCoin Web3 wallet is now integrated too, enabling users to hold and interact with tokenized real-world assets directly from their non-custodial wallet. On the token front, Robinhood's $HOOD token is now live on the Solana network via Backpack Securities, expanding its reach in the DeFi space. In a significant move for AI, Robinhood Ventures Fund I invested $75 million into OpenAI, signaling a growing commitment to the artificial intelligence sector. We also have a reminder that Trade PMR is a subsidiary of Robinhood Markets, highlighting their expanding financial services portfolio. Robinhood Chain is doubling down on its focus on tokenizing real-world assets, aligning with their vision to tokenize everything. Finally, there were some stock movements. Robinhood Markets sold shares from its Robinhood Ventures Fund I, and an executive from Surfboard Management LLC plans to sell a significant number of shares. Coin and... Alright, let's dive into the latest for Coinbase, ticker Coin. Big news for investors, Coinbase has announced their Q2 earnings release date. This is your heads up to mark your calendars and get ready to see how the company performed financially in the second quarter. On the operational side, there's a temporary pause coming. Starting August 17th, Coinbase will be halting USDC deposits and withdrawals on the Noble network. Keep an eye on this, as it could impact how users interact with their stablecoins on that specific network. That's the key update for Coin in the last 96 hours. LC and Lending Club, or LC, just dropped their Q1 2026 earnings, and there are some big moves to talk about. First off, revenue is up significantly. Total net revenue jumped 15.9% year-over-year to $252 million. And profits? They soared an incredible 342.1% to $52 million. This boost comes from more loans being originated, sold, and at better prices, plus an expanding net interest margin. Their core business is really shining. Loan origination fees alone shot up 86% to $130 million, thanks to more loans held for investment after adopting fair value accounting. Overall loan origination volume also saw a healthy 31.4% increase to $2.67 billion, showing a recovery in market demand and LC's business growth. Now, there are some cost increases to note. Marketing expenses rose 89.5% to $55 million, driven by that accounting change and increased variable marketing spend to support loan growth. Occupancy costs also climbed 47%, largely due to a headquarters relocation. Finally, Lending Club is buying back its own stock. They repurchased about $13 million worth of shares in Q1, part of a larger plan to buy back up to $100 million by the end of 2026. PayPal and... Alright, let's dive straight into PayPal, ticker symbol PayPal. The biggest news in the last 96 hours is a potential game changer. Payment processor Stripe and private equity firm Advent International have submitted a joint offer to acquire PayPal Holdings. This offer values PayPal at over $53 billion, or $60.50 per share. That's a significant premium, about 28% above PayPal's closing price on Tuesday. They've got about $50 billion in bank financing lined up for this deal. If this goes through, Stripe and Advent International would each hold a 50% stake in PayPal, and they don't plan to break up the company. This would create a massive fintech powerhouse, combining merchant payment processing with consumer digital wallets. Now, PayPal hasn't responded to this offer yet, so it's still very much up in the air, but you can bet this news sent PayPal's stock soaring. CHYM and CHYM, ticker CHYM, just announced they'll be releasing their Q2 2026 financial results after the market closes on August 5, 2026. They're also holding a conference call that same day at 3 p.m. Pacific Time to discuss those results. Now, here's something interesting. A new AI visibility index from 5W AI communications firm shows CHYM is making a big splash in consumer finance research. They're a starting point for many when looking into AI engines like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, and Google AI Overview. In fact, CHYM is outperforming a lot of U.S. regional banks in citation share, suggesting they're building a real competitive edge in this AI-driven world. This could be a significant boost for their brand awareness and attracting new customers online. INTU and... Alright, let's dive straight into INTU, ticker symbol INTU. In the last 96 hours, a significant development has emerged. INTU and some of its executives are facing class action lawsuits alleging securities fraud. These lawsuits claim the company overstated its competitive advantages, the strength and sustainability of its business model, and especially the revenue growth prospects for its TurboTax division. The core accusation is that INTU was actually experiencing significant business losses due to increased competition and pricing pressures. Investors who bought or held INTU securities within a specific timeframe are being advised to consider joining these lawsuits to potentially recover losses. This legal action could impact investor confidence in INTU's financial health and operations, and the outcome could affect the company's reputation and stock price moving forward. JP Morgan and JP Morgan Chase just posted its best second quarter ever, hitting an all-time profit high. This surge was fueled by strong investment banking fees, the highest since 2021, thanks to big IPOs and deal closings. Their trading desk also capitalized on volatile markets, and every single business segment saw revenue growth. Now, JP Morgan is on the verge of a massive milestone, becoming the first bank to ever break the $1 trillion market cap. That would put them in the same league as tech giants like Tesla, Meta, and Broadcom. Their recent stellar earnings have already pushed the stock to record highs, and they're currently valued around $919 billion, significantly outpacing competitors. On top of that, JP Morgan is exploring setting up corporate treasury operations in India's Gift City. Over 100 companies have already reached out to them about this, signaling a push to expand their presence and tap into new opportunities in the Indian market. TDOC. TDOC Health, TDOC, just hit a 52-week high on July 15, driven by positive operational performance and revenue updates. They're a leader in virtual care, connecting patients, providers, and partners. Keep an eye out because TDOC is scheduled to release their Q2 2026 financial results after market close on July 29, followed by a conference call. This is a key event for investors to assess their latest financial performance and future outlook. On top of that, they've been designated the preferred virtual care provider for the NBPA and expanded their reach through a partnership with Walmart. For the full year 2026, TDOC anticipates revenues between $2.48 billion and $2.58 billion, a slight increase from their 2025 revenue of $2.53 billion. HIMSS. Alright, let's dive straight into HIMSS and HERS Health, ticker symbol HIMS. The biggest internal news from the last 96 hours is a significant change in their financial leadership. The Chief Accounting Officer, Irene Beckland, has resigned from the company, effective October 9. She'll be staying on for a few months in an advisory role to ensure a smooth handover. In the meantime, the Chief Financial Officer, Yemi Okupe, will be stepping in to cover the CAO's responsibilities. While there's been other news like earnings announcements and increased options trading, this executive departure is the most impactful internal corporate change for HIMSS and HERS Health right now. Docs. Alright, let's talk Doximity, ticker symbol DOX. Mark your calendars because Doximity is set to release their first quarter earnings for fiscal year 2027 after the market closes on August 6. This announcement was made on July 16, and get this, they're also hosting a conference call and webcast to dive into the numbers the very same day, starting at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly, or Eli Lilly, has been making some big moves lately, especially in the mental health space. They've announced a deal to acquire AtaiBeckley, a clinical-stage biopharmaceutical company, for up to $3.8 billion. This acquisition is all about speeding up the development of treatments for conditions like treatment-resistant depression. On top of that, Eli Lilly made a $5 million milestone payment to VivoSim after the first patient was dosed in a Phase 2 clinical trial for a drug VivoSim is developing. This could really boost VivoSim's revenue growth. And finally, keep an eye on AdvanCell, a company that Eli Lilly supports. AdvanCell just secured a massive $315 million Series D funding round from major investors like Bain Capital and Fidelity. Novo Nordisk. Novo Nordisk is making a major play in the obesity treatment market, proposing to acquire Metsera Inc. for $6.5 billion, with potential for an additional $2.5 billion in performance-based payouts. This move is seen as a strategic effort to counter competitors like Pfizer and solidify Novo Nordisk's dominance. On the international front, Novo Nordisk is also accelerating its expansion into India through a partnership with Emcure Pharmaceuticals. This collaboration will see Novo Nordisk exclusively distribute and sell its weight loss treatment, Pavitra, across India, marking a significant step to broaden its reach in the promising Indian pharmaceutical market. Additionally, Novo Nordisk is expanding its partnership with Aspect Biosystems, drawing attention across the pharmaceutical industry.